we've seen pictures, of course, in Poland during Independence Day in November. There was a 60,000 person march with signs that said, white Europe and white Poland. What are the roots of this right-wing nationalism?
A small minority among those 60,000 were actual racists and fascists. But yes, the optics of marching with torches at night in Europe doesn't look good. And yes, there is a resurgence of nationalism, which is not always condemned by the authorities. But I think it's a pan-Western phenomenon. In the United States, you also have tribalism. You have the despair of endangered majorities. You have national politics and socialist economics. And in different countries, it plays out differently. But we do have a reaction to the financial crisis, a desire for fairer capitalism, and we have widespread cultural anxiety to do with endangered identities, to do with people's search for meaning, and to do with the fact that as the West, with every decade, we are becoming a smaller proportion of the world's population and the world's economy, which always produces self-doubt. The traditional role of populists in democratic political systems has been to name and make evident issues that have been neglected. And those issues are real and have to be dealt with.
I see this point. I mean, I guess Poland, and I agree, I think it's pan-Western. In fact, it's not just Western. There's left-wing populism, of course, on the rise, and has been for decades in South America. But Poland strikes me as such an interesting case because economically, Poland is doing really well. It has had an average of 4 to 5% growth over the last, say, 20 years. It weathered the global financial crisis better than most other countries. It does have a 6% unemployment, but that's fairly low for this sort of stuff. And also it's 97, 98%, high 90s in percentage of white population. It strikes me as like, what are they afraid of? And so you see it as more of a loss of identity. It's something that on paper, everything looks just fine. In fact, for Poland, it looks better than everybody else.
You're shrewd to have noticed that Poland is a counterexample to the narrative prevalent in the West, because the West is now Marxist and thinks that the economy determines everything. Poland has had the best quarter century in 1,000 years. Even during the financial crisis, our economy cumulatively grew by 25%. Which proves your suggestion that it's about culture and about psychology and about things other than the economy, even things other than economic fairness, because actually the Gini coefficient has been dropping in Poland, which means that the perception and reality of social inequalities is less in Poland, unlike in some other countries, including this one. Which is why Poland is such a fascinating case to study, because it's about things that are hard to measure.
Yeah, it's so interesting. It's so kind of crazy. It's this idea, and people long, I think, neglect this idea that culture and ideology play a huge role in how people feel.
I think in Poland's case, an additional factor is a rapid pace of secularization and the reaction to it of the endangered majority of traditionalists.
It's Roman Catholics. I mean, 90% Roman Catholic in Poland, so...
But actually only a third go to church.
Really?
So you see why the Catholic Church in Poland may not like this globalization and this European integration stuff, because they blame the European Union, unfairly in my view, for these new cultural norms, which they don't like, tolerance towards all kinds of minorities.